Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for logging into today's webinar. We do have a large number of attendees who had signed up ahead of time, who have not yet signed in yet. I am going to give them an additional couple minutes before we get going this morning. I appreciate your patience. We'll get going shortly. All right, again, thank you for your patience. I think we can go ahead and get started now. So I would like to welcome you to Petrosoft's You Asked and We Heard series on Pricebook. If you guys have attended the past few weeks, you are probably already familiar with me. I am Jonathan Dickinson. I am the Product Information Manager here at Petrosoft. Basically means I am the Pricebook team manager. I was previously in charge of the support department, so if you had called in there specifically with some higher level physical inventory issues, you've probably dealt with me in the past. I've been here just shy of about 3 years, so between running Pricebook and having the support background, it does make the most sense for me to do this webinar for you guys today. So today we're going to run things a little bit differently than we have in the past. You guys have been kind enough to give us some really good feedback and questions following the previous webinar series. So today, based on that feedback we received, I am going to demo a few different things for you live in the C-Store office environment. Upon the conclusion of that, we will open up the floor for some questions. I will get to as many as I possibly can. Any that aren't, we can either address in future webinars, or I will do my best to reach out to you directly. So today, I am going to go through demoing a few of the different ways for entering and adjusting your retail prices. We are going to show you how to create and configure new departments within C-Store Office. And we're going to discuss how to account for itemized sales for items with no barcodes. Okay, so being that we do have limited time today, let's go ahead and jump into this quickly. I'm going to go over some means for entering and adjusting retail prices. This will probably take up the majority of our time today because there's a wealth of different ways you can accomplish this within C-Store. I couldn't possibly come close to covering them all, but I did identify these 5 as being the most useful. Okay, if you guys are really familiar with C-Store Office and you're advanced users, you might find a little of this rudimentary, but again, the point of our webinar is to put in place the building blocks for everyone's success for using C-Store as we move forward. Okay, so today I am going to demo 5 different ways that we can adjust your retail prices. Number one being the most direct, going directly into your item setup and using the retail price change wizard. Number 2 is one we actually did demo last week, but I think it is useful and underutilized, so I am going to review again using the find and replace function for changing prices. I'm going to show you quickly how to use and interpret pending invoices to make retail price changes. If you're looking to make mass price changes via an upload template, I'm going to show you guys how to use the import items module within C-Store. And lastly, I know we discussed this on the previous webinar, but I didn't show the user interface. What I want to do is go through and how to use the price group's price management module to go ahead and make quick adjustments to your price groups at varying retail locations. Okay, so what I am going to do now is I'm going to hop into C-Store, demo all this. We are going to have a few polling questions for you guys today. I would appreciate your feedback on them. It does kind of allow us to identify and lead us into future webinars that will assist you. But for now, let's go ahead, jump into C-Store, and really go through these 5 means of adjusting retail prices that I talked about. Number 1, again, being using your item setup screen and utilizing the retail price change wizard within C-Store. So if you guys were looking to go ahead and change prices via the normal price book, you would simply go to price book and items. And this will bring us directly into our item search screen. Bear with me for one moment. Okay, so everyone should be familiar with this. One of the common recommendations I used to make in the support department is that if you are searching for a specific item, I generally prefer that you do search by its barcode, by its UPC, or by EAN. For demo purposes today, I am going to search by description. One of the reasons I do recommend searching by UPC is to make sure you are on the specific item you're looking to adjust. I do see people that don't get very detailed with their descriptions of items. So say you were looking for a 20-ounce Diet Coke. Someone comes up here and does a description-like search for Coke, and it's going to return back 20 items that just say Coke, 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 Coke for the description. Thus, why I generally recommend that people do use the UPCs or the EAN 13s, the actual barcode of the items for tracking those specific items down. But in this case today, I just want to grab one particular item, say it was this Cherry Coke 20 ounce that we're looking to adjust the retail price on. Okay, we've selected our item, it's highlighted in blue, and we can simply go into view mode. And what this will do is this will bring up the item on the account level. Okay, if you had multiple locations on your account from the screen, you could adjust every single one of those. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come down to the sales and retail section, and you need to click on this little tab on the bar in the middle, and you're going to see it's going to expand that. In this case, I'm only seeing one location because that's all there is on this training account. If you had multiple locations, you would see every one of them highlighted here. Okay, what we're going to do is say we want to change the price. So you can see this item was at $189. Say that the cost went up from your vendor. So you now, in order to maintain your gross profit margins, want to raise the price on this item to $1.99. We would enter the new retail value and click next. And you can see that the retail price wizard takes you through all the steps for completing the price change. Now here it's going to ask you at which one of your locations you're making that price change. Again, if you have multiple locations, you have the ability to choose as many or as few as you would like to change the price at. But if you've identified that you select the correct location, go ahead and click next again. It's going to ask you what date you want to apply that new retail. If you're looking to make, timely changes immediately, just go ahead and click next to move on. What this module will allow you to do is make postponed retail changes. So say we knew that the price of these Cokes for some reason is going up on Monday. Next Monday, we could go ahead and future date this. Okay, but in this case, we want the price change to take effect ASAP, so we're going to leave the date the same, click next again, and you'll get one last review screen. You can see that the retail is being updated to $1.99, today's date, and at which stations that's going to occur. We can go ahead and hit finish, and what that will now do for you, you're going to see the screen update. The retail price will change to $1.99, and there will be a price update in queue in your cash register updates page, waiting for you to accept it and send it to the register. Okay, so that is the quickest and most direct way for you guys to go in and change the price on one specific item. Now, I do get a lot of clients that they're looking to go ahead and they want to change, say, the price on multiple items. Say you wanted to hit all of those Coke 20-ounce items at once. One means by which we can use C-Store Office to change multiple prices at one time is using the find and replace function. Now, while find and replace is available when you just come to price book items, you always need to keep in mind that this screen is only for account level data. So you can see here, when I go to the replace function, there's nothing that speaks to retail price. So in order to utilize the find and replace function for changing the price on retail items, you need to go into the price management module, which looks almost exactly the same, except using the left-hand and right-hand column, you're going to tell C-Store Office which one of your locations you're changing prices at. In this case, we only have, again, one location. So Pittsburgh 55 is already enabled and moved over to the right-hand side. It is important to keep in mind when using the price management module, you only want to have one location over here on the right-hand side at a time. Okay, so say that we knew that we wanted to change all of our Coke 20-ounce items to raise their price to a consistent $1.99. There's many ways to search for these and go about it. I think the easiest is to search by vendor, changing this to equal, and finding your Coca-Cola vendor. Now, because this is a test account, I don't have many items associated with the vendor. I'm simply showing you some best practices for searching and accurately finding your correct items. Let's see, maybe if I go to Coke, if it gives me a little bit. There we go, a little bit more comprehensive an answer here. So going through, you can see it returned 5 items, okay? I can identify quickly based on description. This is my only 20-ounce. Let's just say, for sake of argument, these last 3 are all 20-ounce items. You can see how I went ahead and highlighted them all in blue. They do have different prices of $1.99, $1.69, and $0.00. But for those 3 highlighted items, I can now say, I want to replace my retail price. Now, this is the confusing part that is generally missed when I'm helping people in the support department. When you are using the replace function, this middle second dropdown needs to be any. Will always need to be any. Okay, but I'm going to say that we want the price on those 3 items to go to $1.99. They're highlighted. I've told it which field to replace, what value to put in. I'm going ahead and hit the replace button, and what we will now see, all 3 of those items have now been updated to $1.99. So you can imagine how quickly this is to use. It's very powerful, but one of the things I talked about in the previous webinar is this can really only be utilized if you have the right search criteria. So make sure you're using an item description that is descriptive enough for you to go ahead and find the specific items you're looking for. And again, especially in the world of beverages, I would also recommend that when you're setting up your items, that you also use a properly descriptive size field. Okay, that gives you another search criteria you can use when using the find and replace tool. You could say my vendor equals Coke and my size is going to equal 20 ounce. Okay, and obviously if set up correctly, that should return you all your 20 ounce products from Coca-Cola. You could simply say select all my items and replace their prices quickly. All right, so another means by which you guys can use to change retail prices, and I really like this one because I think it gives you a little bit more data to make educated decisions on your price changes, is to review your pending invoices. Okay, so let's navigate back out to the home screen of C-Store Office, and let's open up a pending invoice so I can show you guys exactly what I mean. All right, so I've navigated to my pending invoices screen and I have chosen a pending invoice. And as you guys probably know, when you open up a pending invoice, you don't see any itemized information. What you do is you see all your items grouped by category. So in this case, we have a invoice from Hackney. There's only 6 items on it. And they're all in the candy category, and eyeballing this right away, I'm only seeing an overall 11% profit, generally not something, generally a little bit lower than I'd look to see on a candy category. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why I like pending invoice screens, is that not only can you see what your cost is coming in from your vendor, but you see the retail price you're applying to it and the GPM that you're achieving. So in this case, one of the reasons why we've got such a low overall GPM on the candy category items we're receiving today is you can see here my Hershey's Payday doesn't have a GPM. And the reason why is your retail price doesn't exceed your unit cost. So we would probably want to get that item back into around a 30% profit margin. So one of the things we can do is if I hover over the retail price, I can right click and I can change retail. Okay, so being it's $1.15, getting this up to about $1.50 is going to go a long way towards getting a correct GPM. Now, one of the things I do want to point out to people, and is a common mistake I see made by our customers when they are using pending invoices to adjust retails, is you can see that little fixed retail box underneath. Okay, I feel the description on that is a little misleading, and I want to explain to you guys what that actually is, because I can totally understand why one of your managers might be sitting there, see that, and say, yeah, I want to fix this retail, and check it off, thinking that means you're just updating it to this $1.50 you desire. That's not what that fixed retail is. That is actually the locked retail, okay? When that is enabled and you update this item's price, no one in your organization is going to be able to change that price unless that fixed retail is turned off. So if you're not sure what this is, I have seen this drive clients to madness. They're constantly calling in, having an issue updating certain retails on items. What we generally find is they're not realizing that fixed retail has been enabled. So if you are using this for the first time or teaching people within your organization to use pending invoices to change prices, more often than not, you're not going to want to check that fixed retail. But what we can do is go ahead and hit submit. It's going to connect to the server. It will ask us if you want to reload the page. All right, guys, if you are updating multiple retail prices on an invoice, you might want to cancel this and reload them all when you're done, as opposed to refreshing the page every time you change a price. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and let this one reload. Well, it looks like I hit a wrong button and that change didn't take place. So let's just go ahead. And let's give this a moment to reload so you guys can see the way that the gross profit margin has now increased. Oh, you know what? I apologize, guys. Being that this is a predated older invoice, you can see that it's not giving me the ability to change the invoice retail. I'm changing the retail. So that will send an update to the CR updates page. It's not going to update the actual invoice page. There is a reason to why that was being done. It relates to price changes on your inventory. In future webinars, we'll do an advanced physical inventory topic so I can explain that to you guys. Okay, so I want to show you two more quick means by which to update your retail prices. Okay, the first of which is under the price book dropdown, and that is our import items tool. Okay, and what this allows you to do, if you're not aware of it, is to go ahead. You could use a Excel template to upload new categories, upload new departments, do your vendor associations, and put parent-child relationships in place. In this case, we're going to use the items list. Okay. So you can see after I clicked on that icon, it takes me through a nice three-step process in order to utilize this module. The first of which, step one, is clicking here to download that item file template. So let's go ahead and do that and take a quick look at what that is. And give me just a moment while Excel opens this on my other screen, and I'll go ahead and drag it over for you guys. All right, so here's an example template. And the nice thing here is in case you are confused with what any of these columns are, you can see how there's notes that will explain any of this to you. Okay, so in column A, we're going to put the barcode. Column B, we're going to put in the barcode type. The notes here explain that. 0 is going to be your most common for UPCAs. Okay, so your item description, your CR description, your size, your department, and your retail. Okay, now keep in mind that if you are updating prices on existing items and you enter in different descriptions, CR descriptions, and departments, it will edit those items when they upload. So generally we recommend that you export this information out of CStore, cut and paste back into this template, and then you can use the retail column to quickly make adjustments simply by uploading this template back into CStore Office. Now, one of the things that's really crucial to keep in mind here in utilizing this is that this will update the price at every location on your account. You're unable to tell it that I only want to update location 1, not location 2. This will be account wide, so make sure you are aware of that these retail updates will hit every location on your account. But after you fill in this data, go ahead and save the template. You can see it's as easy as going ahead, browsing within your computer to locate it, checking the box off if you're using a check digit, or unchecking it if you're not, going ahead and hit continue, and that's going to update the price on any of the items on that template. Quickly, I want to show you one last means of changing price, and that is using the price management, the price group's price management module. I'm going to switch back into another account real quick that has multiple locations so you can see this properly utilized. Give me one moment. We're going to go back into our own company's account into Greyhound. We discussed on the previous webinar how to set up price groups and utilize them. That, you know, for things with common retail prices, like your Red Bull 8 ounce and 12 ounces, your Coke 20 ounce and 2 liters, that setting these items up into price groups allows for very quick management of their retail prices because you only have to change it once for all the items included. So if you go into, again, your blue toolbar and go to Price Book, Price Groups, you can see that once your price groups are open, if you navigate to Price Management, you're now going to get a really nice user interface that's going to show you all your price groups and the applied retail price at every single location. And you can very quickly use this module to change those price groups retails and send them out to your stores. Just 1 second while it opens. This account has numerous price groups and locations. That's why I wanted to open it up for demo purposes. There we go. All right, so guys, we can see at our camel packs that all we have to do is change the price once for an entire location, and those are the prices that are going to go. Okay, so this is if you have a multiple location account, setting up your price groups and using this module just by drilling in. So say there's 89-cent, 2 for $1.50. If we wanted to change this location, we can drill right into it, change the price, hit save, and those price updates are going to go out to that store. All right, guys, I've gone a little overtime in talking about my entering and adjusting retail prices. What I would like to do quickly before moving on to departments is throw a couple polling questions at you. Your responses are greatly appreciated because, again, they do allow us to build your next webinars for topics that interest you. All right, guys, thank you for taking the time to respond to those. We're going to go ahead and share the results for a moment, and then we're going to have one more follow-up poll for you guys to answer before we move on to our next topic, which will be creating and configuring new departments within C-Store. All right, guys, and again, thank you very much for responding to these poll questions. We're going to go ahead and share those results for a moment, and then we're going to move on to our next topic for today. All right, so we're now going to discuss creating and configuring new departments. I'm going to quickly show you guys how to add a new department, the purpose and importance of matching a category back to that department, discussing the age restrictions, food stamps, and blue loss settings, properly applying taxation and product codes, and I'm going to quickly get into custom income departments because we're running a little long on time here. I'm not going to get too deep into those. So let's navigate back into C-Store for a moment. Okay, what I'm going to do real quick is just get back on my training account. Again, I don't want to be adding departments to an actual production location. All right, so let's say that for whatever operational reasons, you are looking to add a new department to your C-Store office account and thus to your register. Examples of why this may occur: I see a lot of clients when they bring in those Freel shakes, they do set those up as their own department for reporting purposes. So let's just pretend we have to do that today. Much like with all things Pricebook, you are going to go to your Pricebook dropdown and select CR departments. And once this loads, it's going to give us the list of all the current departments on the account. It is important to take note of that, because what you are going to find is when you select Add New, C-Store is going to go to the next numeric value in your SKU. So when I click Add New, it's going to want to make my department 1059. Okay, it's important to keep in mind that any unused values are still in play. So I could use 12, 13, 14, 15. I could use 1 through 9. You can, again, you can use any available values that aren't already in play. It's just important to keep in mind C-Store is always going to want to assign you the next available one. All right, so this is our basic department setup screen. Okay, again, you can see, like I said, it assigned it 1059. I can go ahead and move it back to 9 because that one's not in use. What would happen is if I put in 10 here, which was already in use, the system would update and open up that department on this page. Okay, you can't have two departments with the same number. So let's say that, again, we're setting up a new Freel shake department. Go ahead and give it a description. Okay, there is a character limit on the department name. Off the top of my head, I'm not certain what it is. It's based on register limitations, okay? So if your department name isn't as descriptive as you'd like it to be, go ahead and give it a more detailed description right here. All right, you're more than welcome to do that. You're also more than welcome to leave it blank. Okay, you can see there's a minimum and maximum price field here. You don't have to utilize that if you don't want to. Okay, one of the few reasons I have seen clients using minimum maximum price, say they have a deli department where there are no actual items within that department, everything is an open department ring. I've had a client who wants to avoid his cashiers forgetting to put the decimal in, and instead of charging $10 for a sandwich, charging $1,000 and then having to do a void maximum price. That's essentially what we did. We went in, the most expensive item he had in his department in the deli was $12. That's the maximum price we put in to avoid the huge void totals. Okay. Default price, default sales quantity, don't worry about it. I would almost recommend not using it. Okay. Minimum age, we do want to speak to. Okay. If you have a beer, alcohol, cigarette, or lotto department that you do want to implement an age restriction on, this is where you would enter in the minimum age for that department. And you would also have to check off check HID to enable that age restriction on your register. Fee or charge. If you have a money order department or anything like that, that you always want a fee applied to every transaction, you can certainly use this screen. You are restricted to whole dollar values. Okay, but I did want to touch on matched category. You need to match any departments back to a category. You want to do so for inventory and reporting purposes. If someone would do an open ring on a Freel department on your register, okay, it's not an itemized sale, and then we run reports based on category, that sale is going to be listed in an unknown category because you've never told the system where to apply it. Okay, so this is the screen where you match your department to a category. You cannot go to a category screen and find a match department dropdown. You have to do it from the department screen. So a lot of times, if you are setting up corresponding categories for your departments, I recommend sending up the new category first. So it is here for you to choose. In this case, let's just say that you wanted all of your Freel Shake department to report your dairy category. You would simply choose that category, leave it in there. If you don't have a Radiant register, don't worry about this field and go ahead and leave it as such. Okay, there's a few other boxes I just wanted to go over quickly. Allow direct sales. These are those open department rings. Okay, if you want to allow your cashiers to make open department rings on food service departments or anything like that, this is what you'd want to check off. Okay, we've talked about check HID, that if you have a minimum age applied to a department, this box needs to be checked off as well. Blue laws. Not everyone's familiar with blue laws. They don't apply to every state. I know I grew up in Connecticut and we did have blue laws there. Generally, that is referring to law-based limitations on the days and times at which you can sell certain products. So, for example, in Connecticut, the blue law was that Monday through Saturday, they had to stop selling alcohol from 8 p.m., I believe, to 10 a.m. the next day, and there was no sale of alcohol on Sundays. Okay. The blue law rules themselves are set in the register. It's a lot like your tax rate. You're just telling your register to apply those rules to a specific department by checking off one or two, but the blue laws do get set up in the register. If you want to allow a method of payment of food stamps, this box would need to be checked off. These next two I'm not quite certain of, and I really don't ever recommend to our clients to use them. Is negative is if you had a coupon department. Most of our users know you cannot have a negatively priced item in C-Store. So if you did want to keep track of certain coupons, I see this for Marlboro mobile coupons, where we will put the itemized coupon in your price book with a positive price, but in a negative department, so that it applies negatively at the register. Taxable is if you do want it to apply taxes to the register, and we're going to go into a little bit of that in a moment. Manufacturer coupons, if you want to allow manufacturer coupons in that department, and if your department is loyalty card eligible. All right, so those are really all the settings you need to drive functionality of the register. It's important to keep in mind that this stuff does apply on the department level. If you check off taxable, every item in this department will be taxable. If you check off food stamps, every item will be able to be purchased by food stamps. So it's important to keep that in mind when setting up your department structure. Okay, last two things I want to touch on departments that are really important. First one is incredibly important, guys, is applying taxation to these departments. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save this. I know I touched on that taxation box to denote whether a department is taxable or not, but you need to go one step further for both taxes and department codes. All right, I'm going to X out because I want to go right back to my overall department screen. We can see that the new department I created has been added. It has its match category. Now, we need to finish two last things, which is applying the correct taxes and the correct department codes. We can see here that you've got two links in the related information section at the bottom of your screen. If we click on department taxes, it's going to bring up just one default box. And this is because you only have one location on this account. If I had multiple locations, I'd have a drop down here where I could choose which store I'm working on applying the correct taxes. C-Store Office has the ability to control up to 4 different tax rates that are pre-programmed within your register. An example we see of this is commonly in near us in Pittsburgh. If you're in city proper, you're going to have the normal 6% state tax rate. You're also going to have an additional 1% tax rate. Some clients simply set up their register with an overall 7%. Some denote between the two. I know some states have lower taxes for dairy items, higher taxes for liquor items, things such as that. So those are other reasons why you might have variable tax rates in your register, but this box tells us which one to apply. In this case, if we were only applying the state tax to Freel Shakes and we knew that was the tax rate in your register, that's what we would apply. We hit save, and the next time you push your updates to the register, that new department with its new taxation information is going to get sent. I want to demo one last little detail, okay, and that's going to be product codes. These control functionality for payment processing at your register when you're denoting things such as lotto can't be purchased via credit, when you need to set up activation of gift cards and things like that. Those are determined by the product codes that have been applied to your departments, okay? You can see here, it's a test account, so we don't have any product codes. I do know that a default product code from NACS for candy is 400. You can see how I chose the specific department I wanted to apply it to, and I hit save. And again, much like your department taxation information, the next time you push updates to your register, this department is now going to have payment product code 400 applied to it on the register. Okay, this is another function that I do see clients handling incorrectly often, in that they will continually go in and program the payment product codes specifically on the register, not in C-Store Office. Therefore, what happens is every time they push updates to the register, their product codes get wiped out because there's nothing in C-Store. So it's important to remember that once you've transitioned as a new client over to C-Store being live, any of your changes that you're making to your departments and to your items need to be handled in the C-Store Office price book and not directly in your register. All right, so that kind of concludes departments. What I'd like to do for a moment is just run one more polling question for you guys, and then we're going to deal with how to handle the configuring of items without barcodes. All right, everyone, thank you for taking the time to go ahead and fill out that poll. You can see that we're probably leading into what of our future webinars will be. Going to go ahead and hide those results, and then we're going to move on to the next slide before jumping back into C-Store. The last thing I have been asked in previous webinars and how to deal with is how to account for items that don't come with a barcode. Okay. Number one example I see of this is the retailer who is selling baked goods in the morning. You're sourcing those from a local company, and chances are each of your individual muffins and donuts and that you want to be able to track the sales on aren't coming with their own unique barcodes. So it turns out that your cashier, again, is just ringing 90 cents, $1.50, whatever that item is, as an open department ring in bakery. Doesn't give you guys a lot of information to use in terms of what is actually being sold. So there are two different ways that you can account for this in C-Store, and they're more or less kind of the same. It's just a matter of whether you want to add an additional step. So let's go ahead and navigate back into our price book dropdown and go to an item setup screen. Select Add New. Give this a moment to load. Okay. So let's say we're setting up a new blueberry muffin from our bakery vendor. Okay. We're going to go ahead and make sure that it's got its item description. Okay, when we put in the item description and click in any other field, you can see the first 25 characters in your item description are automatically populated in your CR description. We would want to make sure that we assign any new item a category and a department. Okay, and we would need to assign it a retail price in order to send it to the register, but we'd have to hit save first. Now, you guys can see that the only other missing component in properly setting up an item is to give it some type of identifier, whether that is a PLU number or a real barcode. So we're focusing on items that don't have a barcode. So you've essentially got two choices of what you can do here. Okay, I would generally recommend, if these were retail items that you're selling frequently, that we go ahead and we apply this item a PLU number. Okay, PLU, product lookup numbers, you can assign them any means you like, up to 5 digits. Okay, so you have 59,999 unique combinations you can apply to items within your store that should probably provide you enough unique PLU numbers. Okay, one of the things I generally would have done is gone into my price book and looked at all of the already applied PLU numbers to items. I kind of skipped that step because since we're running long today, but you'll see I gave it PLU number 152. I go ahead and hit save. Okay, and now after you send your updates to the register, your cashiers will now be able to either directly input that 152 PLU to ring the item, or you can now use that PLU number to set up a speed key on your register, if your register supports those, or you can now see that I could go ahead and actually click on this to print a barcode. Okay, so I want to go ahead and just demo you the other way by which you could do that, and say for whatever operational reason you're looking to add an item to your price book that you don't necessarily need to apply a PLU number to. Okay, perfect example of this is, say, from your main provider that you're buying all of your candy and snacks from, you also get a few store supplies, such as floor cleaner. Okay, floor cleaner doesn't come with a barcode on the invoice. Okay, it might have a VIN, but it doesn't have a barcode for it, and you're not going to give it a PLU number because you're not selling it at the register. But you want it in your price book so it can be added into invoices that you're manually entering. Okay, we're going to give it a description, we're going to give it a category, and we're going to give it a department. What you can do is just go ahead and hit save, and the system's going to ask you, would you like us to give you an auto-generated UPC? All right, the C-store is going to go ahead and give that item a UPC that's going to fall outside of any range that would be applicable to normal retail items. So now your system has a unique barcode identifier within C-store Office that will allow it to be included into any invoices you're looking to input. And if for any reason it was an item that wasn't not for sale, if you wanted to apply a retail price to it, you could type in the whole barcode at the register, or you could print a barcode tag and scan it at the register that way. So those are really the two main ways where you can go ahead and account for items that don't have native barcodes and make sure that you are applying actual itemized sales at the register for the means of having good sales data for when you're running reports, but also keeping your inventory accurate so that C-store knows that that item has been used and or sold. All right, guys, we did run a little long. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to kind of throw up the next slide. I'm going to allow you guys to type in some of the questions you do have based on what we did go over today. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have the time to answer them live, but what we will do is we will record them. Okay, we do have your guys' contact info, so I'm going to have either myself or someone from support follow up on those questions you did have. Deshant, real quickly, I did see that you did ask quickly about how can you go ahead and enter a UPC code. You did see that on the prior item setup screen, that when you're adding a new item, this is where you would input a new UPC code. Okay, and you did ask about whether you can use a scanner to do so. You can. You can, I do know clients have bought a third-party scanner to hook it up to their computer to make input of barcodes a little bit easier. Okay, the one thing to keep in mind is sometimes those barcode scanners will truncate the check digit, so you'll only get 11 of the 12 digits. If that is the case, just keep in mind my support department's not going to be able to fix that for you and support a third-party company's piece of hardware. All right, guys, so I do want to thank you very much for taking the time to attend today, for taking the time to answer all our polling questions. Again, if you do have any questions you want to go ahead and use, I'm going to leave the meeting open for a little while with my microphone turned off. But if you go ahead and type in a question, my marketing department will get them back to me and I will do my best to get you an accurate answer. All right, thank you very much and have yourselves a good afternoon.